We begin in a city, an old city, a city that has been growing for centuries, built on 7 hills above a wide brown river. The river is the Tiber, the city is Rome, and the time is the middle of the 1st century before the Common Era. Rome at this time is not yet an empire. It is a republic, a system of government that has been in place in various forms for nearly 500 years. Power is shared. 2 consuls are elected each year. They lead the government together. Neither one can act without the other. A senate of senior men advises and decides on major matters. The system is designed to prevent any single person from gaining too much power. It has worked more or less for a very long time. But the Rome of the 1st century before the Common Era is under strain. It has grown far beyond the small city-state it once was. Its territory now includes much of the Mediterranean world, Italy, Spain, North Africa, Greece, parts of Asia Minor. Governing this vast territory through institutions designed for a small city is increasingly difficult. And powerful men have risen who use military force and personal loyalty to accumulate influence that the old republican system was not designed to contain. Into this world, a child is born. In the year 100 before the Common Era. His name is Gaius Julius Caesar. He is born into a patrician family, an old family, one of the ancient noble lines of Rome. The Julii claimed descent from Iulus, the son of the Trojan hero Aeneas, and through Aeneas, from the goddess Venus. This claimed lineage is part of the family's identity. Whether anyone fully believed it is another matter. But it is stated, it is maintained, and it matters to how the family presents itself. The house Caesar grows up in is in a district of Rome called the Subura. This is not one of the fashionable hills. The Subura is a crowded, busy, sometimes rough neighborhood, close to the forum, close to the markets. The streets are narrow, the buildings are tall, shops open onto the ground floors, apartments stack above. The noise of the city is constant. Voices, cartwheels on stone, the smell of cooking and animals and the river. Caesar's father dies when Caesar is around 15 or 16 years old. The exact circumstances are not fully recorded. His mother, Aurelia, continues to raise him. Ancient sources praise her as an intelligent and capable woman. She oversees his education carefully. Caesar studies rhetoric and literature and philosophy. He learns Greek, which is essential for any educated Roman of the period. He is taught by private tutors. The political situation in Rome during Caesar's youth is unstable. 2 powerful figures, Marius and Sulla, bring the tensions of Roman politics to a violent breaking point. Marius is Caesar's uncle by marriage. He is a successful general from a non-noble background. He has reformed the Roman army. He has won major victories in North Africa and against Germanic tribes. He has been consul 7 times, an unprecedented number. Sulla is from the patrician class. He is also a successful general. He and Marius represent opposing political factions. The conflict between them eventually leads to Sulla marching his army on Rome itself. Something almost unthinkable in the Roman tradition. An army within the city. This happens twice. It reshapes what Romans think is possible. When Sulla becomes dictator and begins his proscriptions, lists of men declared enemies of the state, Caesar is on the margins of danger. He has married a woman named Cornelia, the daughter of a man associated with Marius's faction. Sulla orders Caesar to divorce her. Caesar refuses. He loses some property as a result. He leaves Rome for a time. He serves in military positions in Asia Minor, away from Sulla's reach. When Sulla dies in 78, Caesar returns to Rome. He is in his early 20s. He begins working as an advocate in the law courts. This is a common path for ambitious young Romans. The law courts are public. Speeches are heard by audiences. A good speaker builds a reputation. Caesar is, by all accounts, an excellent speaker. He has a clear, direct style. He speaks without excessive decoration. He makes his arguments accessible. He has a memory for detail, and he has the physical presence that public speaking in Rome demands. A strong voice, clear articulation, the ability to hold a crowd's attention. He travels to the island of Rhodes to study rhetoric under a famous teacher named Apollonius. On the way, his ship is captured by pirates. Pirates are active in the Mediterranean at this time. The waters around the eastern Mediterranean have become unsafe. Caesar is held for ransom on a small island. He stays there for roughly 5 weeks while messengers go to raise the money. Ancient sources describe his behavior during the captivity with a certain dry humor. He is said to have told the pirates that the ransom they were asking was too low. He suggested a higher figure. He is said to have participated in the pirates' activities, their games and exercises, but also to have told them, apparently in a casual way, that he would come back and crucify them. When the ransom was paid and he was released, he gathered ships and men in the nearest port. He went back. He captured the pirates. He had them crucified. The ancient sources record this as an example of his determination and his tendency to follow through on what he said. He reaches Rhodes. He studies. He returns to Rome. His reputation is growing. He holds a series of magistracies, the cursus honorum, the sequence of offices that a Roman politician was expected to hold in order. Military tribune, quaestor, edile, praetor. Each office has its duties and its costs. The edile is responsible for public buildings and public games. Caesar spends lavishly as edile, more than he can afford. He borrows heavily. He puts on spectacular games. The Roman public notices. His popularity grows. He serves as quaestor in Spain. Ancient sources record that he stood before a statue of Alexander the Great in a temple there and reflected on how much Alexander had accomplished by the age at which Caesar was still beginning his career. Whether this moment happened exactly as described is not certain, but it is recorded, and it suggests something of how Caesar measured himself against the greatest conquerors of the past. He is elected Pontifex Maximus in 63. This is the chief religious office of Rome. Carries great prestige. The election is contested. Caesar campaigns actively. He borrows more money to fund the effort. He wins. The Pontifex Maximus lives in a house on the Via Sacra, the Sacred Way, at the edge of the Forum. Caesar moves there. In 60, Caesar returns from a governorship in Spain. He has been fighting there. He has had some military success. He wants to celebrate a triumph. A triumph is a ceremonial procession through Rome, honoring a general's military victory. It is one of the greatest honors in Roman public life. But to celebrate a triumph, a general must wait outside the city with his army. He cannot enter Rome as a civilian until the triumph is granted. At the same time, Caesar wants to stand for the consulship. But to stand for the consulship, he must enter Rome as a civilian. He cannot do both at once. He asks the Senate for permission to stand for the consulship in absentia, remaining outside the city while his candidacy is registered. The Senate refuses. Caesar gives up the triumph and enters Rome. He stands for the consulship. He is elected. For 59, Caesar is one of the two consuls of Rome. His colleague is a man named Marcus Bibulus. Bibulus is from a conservative faction. He and Caesar do not cooperate smoothly. Caesar often acts without waiting for Bibulus's agreement. Bibulus eventually withdraws from public life and issues edicts from his house. The Romans make jokes. They say the year of Caesar and Bibulus has become the year of Julius and Caesar. As consul, Caesar passes a land reform law, land distribution to veterans and to the poor. The land is in Campania, fertile territory south of Rome. He passes the law through the popular assembly, bypassing opposition in the Senate. This use of the popular assembly to override senatorial resistance is controversial. It makes enemies, but it also builds loyalty among the people who benefit. In 59, Caesar is also part of a political arrangement with two other powerful men, Pompey and Crassus. Pompey is Rome's greatest living general. He has cleared the Mediterranean of pirates. He has defeated Mithridates in the east. He has settled the eastern provinces. He is enormously respected and enormously wealthy. Crassus is the wealthiest man in Rome. His wealth comes from property, from silver mines, from lending money. He is also politically ambitious. These three men, Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus, reach an informal arrangement. They will support each other's interests. They will use their combined resources and influence to manage Roman politics. This arrangement is sometimes called the First Triumvirate, though the Romans themselves did not use this term officially. It is not a formal institution. It is an informal understanding between three powerful men. As part of this arrangement, Caesar is given a major military command after his consulship. The province of Gaul, both Cisalpine Gaul, northern Italy, and Transalpine Gaul, roughly the area of modern southern France, and also Illyricum on the Adriatic coast. The command is for 5 years, later extended. Gaul is a vast territory. To the north and west of the Roman province lie lands not under Roman control, lands inhabited by Celtic peoples, the Gauls as the Romans call them, various tribes with their own territories, their own kings and chiefs, their own traditions and conflicts. In 58, Caesar leaves Rome. He will not return, except briefly and under unusual circumstances, for 9 years. 9 years in the field. 9 years of almost continuous military campaigning. The Gallic Wars begin with what Caesar presents as a defensive necessity. A large group called the Helvetii are migrating from what is now Switzerland. They are moving westward through the Roman province. Caesar moves quickly to stop them. He builds fortifications. He engages them. He turns them back. Caesar writes about his campaigns himself. His account of the Gallic Wars is one of the most famous texts of Latin prose. It is clear and direct. It is written in the third person. Caesar refers to himself as Caesar throughout. He describes his decisions and the outcomes. He does not dwell on his own feelings or on uncertainty. The prose is confident and clean. Roman schoolchildren read it for centuries as a model of Latin style. It is still read in Latin classes today. The campaigns in Gaul last 8 years. From 58 to 50, they range across what is now France, Belgium, Switzerland, and parts of Germany and the Netherlands. Caesar crosses the Rhine twice. He builds a bridge across it to demonstrate the capability of Roman engineering. The bridge is built in roughly 10 days. He crosses with his army. He stays a short time. He comes back. He destroys the bridge behind him. The message is delivered. Rome can cross the Rhine when it chooses. He also crosses to Britain, twice, in 55 and 54. The expeditions to Britain are not full conquests. They are reconnaissance in force. Caesar reaches the Thames. He receives the submission of some local chiefs. He then returns to Gaul. Britain is not incorporated into the Roman Empire at this time. That will come nearly a century later under the Emperor Claudius. But Caesar has been there. He has described the island. He has shown that Rome can reach it. The resistance in Gaul is significant. Various tribes fight the Romans at different points. Some of the campaigns are very difficult. The winter of 54 to 53 sees serious reversals. Roman forces are ambushed. Significant casualties. In 52, the most serious resistance of the entire war comes together under a leader named Vercingetorix. He is a chieftain of the Arverni tribe. He organizes a coalition of Gallic tribes. He adopts a strategy of avoiding pitched battle, of burning supplies so the Romans cannot live off the land, of cutting Roman supply lines. It is an intelligent strategy. It gives Caesar serious difficulty. Caesar besieges the town of Alesia. Alesia sits on a hill. Vercingetorix is inside with his army. Caesar builds a ring of fortifications around the town, a wall of wood and earth with towers and ditches. The circumvallation, roughly 18 kilometers in circumference, cutting off everyone inside. Then a large Gallic relief force arrives outside. Caesar builds another ring of fortifications facing outward, the contravallation, so his army is between two walls, besieging the town within, defended against the relief force without. The relief force attacks. Vercingetorix's forces inside attack simultaneously. Caesar's forces hold both lines. The relief force withdraws. Vercingetorix surrenders. He rides out of Alesia. He lays down his weapons before Caesar. He is taken prisoner. He will be held for years. He will be displayed in Caesar's triumph in Rome, and then executed. Gaul is subdued. It becomes a Roman province. Over the following generations, the Gallic peoples adopt Latin, Roman customs, Roman law. Modern French descends from the Latin spoken in Roman Gaul. Many of the cities of France have Roman origins. The roads that Caesar's army built become the roads of a Roman province, and eventually the roads of a medieval kingdom, and eventually the routes of a modern nation. While Caesar is in Gaul, Rome is changing. The arrangement between Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus is under stress. Crassus dies in 53. He leads a military campaign against Parthia in the east. At the Battle of Carrhae, his army is destroyed. He is killed. The three-way balance is gone. Caesar's daughter Julia had married Pompey, a personal connection between the two men. But Julia dies in 54. The personal bond between them loosens. They are now simply two powerful men with overlapping interests and growing rivalry. Caesar's enemies in Rome work against him. They want to strip him of his command before he can return and use it to protect himself from prosecution. Without his army, without his command, Caesar would be vulnerable. He could be put on trial. His enemies intend to use the law courts as a weapon against him. Caesar tries to arrange a legal path back. He wants to stand for the consulship again in absentia from Gaul. As consul, he would be protected. He negotiates. He writes letters. He has allies in Rome working on his behalf. But his enemies are determined. The Senate, under pressure, votes to order Caesar to disband his army and return as a private citizen. Caesar is at Ravenna. in northern Italy, near the border of his province. The border is a small river called the Rubicon. South of the Rubicon is Italy proper. Roman law forbids a general to bring his army across the Rubicon into Italy. To do so is to make war on Rome. In January of 49, Caesar crosses the Rubicon with his army. He brings one legion, the 13th. The ancient sources preserve an account of this moment. Caesar is said to have paused at the river's edge. He reflects on the significance of what he is about to do. He then crosses. The phrase alia iacta est, the die is cast, is recorded by ancient sources as something he said at this moment. The phrase may be accurate, or it may be attributed to him after the fact. But it captures the nature of the decision. Point of no return. Commitment made. Caesar moves quickly. He marches south. Town after town offers little resistance or opens its gates. His speed surprises everyone. Pompey is in Rome. He has troops, but not enough and not ready. He decides not to fight for the city. He evacuates. He moves south to Brundisium, on the heel of Italy. He crosses to Greece with his forces. He leaves Italy to Caesar. Caesar enters Rome. He takes control of the treasury. Some senators try to prevent him. He proceeds anyway. He establishes himself as master of the city. He controls Italy. He does not pursue Pompey immediately. He goes first to Spain. Pompey's strongest forces are there. He deals with them in a campaign of maneuver rather than pitched battle. He outmaneuvers them logistically. He cuts their water supply. They negotiate. He sends them home. He is generous to the surrendered. He does not execute his prisoners. He releases them. He wants them to tell of this treatment. He wants it to be known that surrendering to Caesar means survival. This is a deliberate policy. He crosses to Greece in 48. He lands in Epirus. He faces Pompey. The two armies camp near each other for weeks. There are skirmishes. Caesar tries to blockade Pompey's larger force. He builds fortifications along a long line. Pompey breaks through at one point. Caesar is forced to withdraw. The decisive confrontation comes at Pharsalus, in Thessaly. Pompey's army is larger. He has more cavalry. His cavalry attacks Caesar's right flank. Caesar has placed a hidden reserve of infantry there. They counterattack the cavalry with their javelins, used as stabbing weapons, aimed at the faces of the cavalry. The cavalry breaks. Caesar's forces outflank Pompey's infantry. The battle is decided. Pompey flees. He sails to Egypt. Egypt is ruled by the young Ptolemy XIII and his sister Cleopatra, who are in a power struggle. Pompey expects to find refuge. He is killed as he steps ashore by agents of Ptolemy's advisors. They think killing Pompey will please Caesar. Caesar arrives in Alexandria shortly after. He is shown Pompey's head. Ancient sources say he turned away, that he wept. Pompey had been his son-in-law. They had fought a civil war, but they had once been allies. The killing of a Roman consul, even an enemy, is not something Caesar endorses. He has Pompey's killers dealt with. Caesar stays in Egypt for several months. He becomes involved in the Egyptian power struggle. He allies with Cleopatra. He installs her alongside her younger brother Ptolemy XIV as co-ruler. He fights a difficult battle in Alexandria. His forces are nearly cut off. The famous Library of Alexandria is not destroyed in this fighting, despite a long tradition suggesting so. The fire that is recorded affects warehouses near the harbor. The library itself survives for several more centuries. Caesar moves on. He campaigns in Asia Minor. He defeats a king named Pharnaces in a battle that is so quick that he describes it with a famous phrase. Veni, vidi, vici. Him I saw, I conquered. 3 words in Latin. A summary of a campaign. He returns to Rome briefly. He goes to North Africa. Pompey's allies and supporters have gathered there. He campaigns in Africa. He wins the Battle of Thapsus in 46. He goes to Spain. The last organized resistance of his enemies is there. He wins the Battle of Munda in 45. The civil war is over. Caesar is now the dominant figure in the Roman world. In 46, he is appointed dictator for 10 years. Then, in 44, dictator perpetuo, dictator in perpetuity, without a defined end to his term. The dictatorship in Rome was an old institution. In times of crisis, a dictator could be appointed for 6 months to deal with an emergency. He had extraordinary powers, but the term was temporary. The perpetual dictatorship is something different. It removes the most important limitation, the time limit. It begins to look like a kingship, and the Romans had expelled their last king 5 centuries before. The memory of kings was not fond. Caesar's behavior in this period alarms many senators. He accepts honors that seem excessive. His portrait appears on coins. Living Romans do not normally appear on Roman coins. A month is renamed for him, July, from Julius. Statues of him are placed in temples. He sits while the Senate stands before him. These things are noted. They are discussed. They accumulate. There are those who decide he must be removed. A group of senators, perhaps 60 in number, form a conspiracy. They include men who had once fought against him and been pardoned. Marcus Junius Brutus, Gaius Cassius Longinus, and others. They call themselves the Liberatores, the Liberators. The date they choose is the Ides of March, the 15th of March, in the year 44 before the Common Era. There is a meeting of the Senate that day in the theater of Pompey. The Senate is meeting there temporarily. The usual meeting place is being renovated. Caesar has been warned. There are rumors. A soothsayer has told him, according to tradition, to beware the Ides of March. His wife Calpurnia has had disturbing dreams. She asks him not to go. He initially considers staying home, but he is persuaded to attend. He enters the theater. He is surrounded. The conspirators have planned to crowd around him under the pretense of presenting a petition. When the signal comes, they move. Caesar is stabbed 23 times. He falls at the base of a statue of Pompey. The conspirators have a plan for the death. They do not have a clear plan for what follows. They expect the Senate to embrace the restoration of the Republic. They expect the Roman people to accept it. They are wrong on both counts. The Roman people are not pleased. Caesar has been popular. He has provided grain. He has provided games. He has been generous with his victories. His veterans are loyal. His supporters are many. A man named Mark Antony, Caesar's close ally and co-consul, addresses the crowd at the funeral. He reads Caesar's will. It leaves money to every citizen of Rome. It leaves his gardens to the public. The crowd responds. The conspirators have miscalculated. Instead of a restored republic, what follows is another round of civil war. Caesar's great-nephew and adopted son Octavian, 18 years old when Caesar dies, comes to Rome to claim his inheritance. He will eventually, after years of conflict, become Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. What Caesar began, Augustus completes. The Republic does not return. The one-man rule that Caesar's enemies feared becomes permanent. Under a different name, not king, not dictator, but emperor, princeps, first citizen. The form changed. The reality of concentrated power did not. Caesar's impact on the Roman world and on the world that followed is difficult to measure fully. The calendar he reformed, the Julian calendar, is introduced in 46, based on advice from Egyptian astronomers. A solar calendar of 365 days, with a leap year every 4 years. It is the basis of the calendar used across Europe and much of the world for the next 16 centuries. The Gregorian calendar, introduced in 1582, is a refinement of the Julian calendar. Every date we use today descends in a direct line from Caesar's calendar reform. His name passes into language. Caesar becomes a title, Kaiser in German, Tsar in Russian, both derived directly from the name Caesar. The word for a ruler, in languages across a huge swath of the world, for nearly 2,000 years, is a form of one Roman man's family name. His writings survive: the Gallic Wars, the Civil War, direct, clear, third-person accounts of his own campaigns. They are among the most read texts of the ancient world, studied in schools for generations. The Latin he wrote is the Latin that students learn from when they begin studying that language. The city of Rome that he knew and moved through still has traces he would recognize. The forum he walked, the road he traveled, the river beside the city, the hills above it, and the month of July, every year, coming after June and before August, carrying his name quietly through 2,000 years of calendars. We slow down now. The narration settles toward its close. It is the early morning in Rome, before the Ides of March. The city is beginning to wake, bakers lighting their ovens, water carriers filling their jugs at the fountains, the first light touching the rooftops, the Tiber moving slowly between its banks. The forum is quiet at this hour. The colonnades are empty. The temples are closed. The stones of the sacred way are cool and damp with mourning. And somewhere in the city, in the house by the forum that the Pontifex Maximus lives in, the morning is beginning, as it has begun every day, for years and years. The world Caesar moved through was one of power and law and public life, of speeches and campaigns and negotiations, of armies and roads and borrowed money, of vast distances crossed and vast populations governed, and also of ordinary mornings, of bread and water and the sounds of a city waking, of letters written and read, of the slow work of administration, of a language being used with precision and care. That language and those letters and that calendar and those roads, they carry forward, long past the man who helped shape them, into the world that came after, and into the world we still live in now.